She claimed to have traveled to a distant planet, Meton, where she lived among advanced beings, gave birth to a hybrid child, and discovered a civilization that had abandoned war to live in perfect harmony. The spacecraft hovering over her farm, the blonde humanoid who called her a soulmate, and her inexplicable connection to a world beyond the stars. Was she a visionary, or at the center of one of ufology's greatest mysteries? Discover the story that defies logic, inspires imagination, and still divides opinions today. Join us as we delve into the case of Elizabeth Klarer, the woman who gave birth to an extraterrestrial child. Elizabeth Klarer was born in 1910 in Moy River, a rural village in South Africa. The region was known for its vast natural landscapes, colonial houses, and a thriving agricultural economy, where her family managed a successful farm. Daughter of Samuel Bancroft Woot, a pioneering veterinarian, and Florence Woot, Elizabeth grew up surrounded by nature and the comforts of affluent rural life. From an early age, she exhibited a curious outlook and a vivid imagination. At just 3 years old, Elizabeth began reporting visions of strange objects in the sky, which she described as flashing birds. Her parents associated these visions with the legend of the lightning bird, a local mythological creature surrounded by thunder and lightning. During her childhood, these visions became frequent. Despite this, Elizabeth lived a typical life for a young girl of her time, receiving formal education and enjoying the freedoms of rural living. A turning point occurred when Elizabeth was 7 years old. On a sunny day, while feeding animals on the farm with her sister Barbara, both witnessed a silver object in the sky. The craft glowed with a pearly hue and moved with unusual smoothness. Alongside the silver object, an orange-red asteroid seemed to streak across the sky at high speed. The apparent encounter between the two phenomena left the sisters in shock. This sighting was not only intriguing, but also terrifying, primarily due to its immediate connection with local myths. After this event, life continued relatively normally for Elizabeth, but these experiences planted a seed of fascination and mystery that would never be erased. Elizabeth's extraordinary childhood not only shaped her perspective on the world, but also prepared her for the events that would come to define her life. Events that would challenge the boundaries of reality and imagination. In 1954, as an adult living in Johannesburg, Elizabeth Klarer received a letter from her sister Maureen, who still resided at the family's old farm. The letter reported recent sightings of the lightning bird, rekindling Elizabeth's childhood memories and sparking her curiosity. Motivated by her sister's descriptions, Elizabeth decided to return to the farm. The place, isolated and surrounded by the Drakensberg Mountains, seemed a natural setting for mysteries yet to be uncovered. On December 27, 1954, at around 10 a.m., Elizabeth heard shouts and commotion among the farm workers. Lightning and thunder echoed across the region, even though the sky was clear and sunny. Following her intuition, Elizabeth climbed to the top of a nearby hill. There, she witnessed something extraordinary, a disc-shaped craft hovering just meters above the ground, emitting a bright glow and a soft hum. The craft was massive, about 20 meters in diameter, with a fixed central dome and a slowly rotating lower section. Through the dome's windows, Elizabeth saw the face of a humanoid being that appeared almost human, with fair skin and blonde hair. The being stared at her intently. Elizabeth described an inexplicable sense of connection and trust, even though the heat emanating from the craft prevented her from approaching. After a few minutes, the craft ascended slowly and disappeared into the sky with astonishing speed. The experience left Elizabeth both intrigued and fascinated. She knew it wasn't a product of her imagination. Despite the shock, she chose to keep the incident a secret for a while, reflecting on its meaning. Months later, The same object reappeared, this time at night. The craft hovered over the farm, illuminating the surrounding area. This time, Elizabeth was accompanied by the property manager, who also witnessed the event. These encounters marked the beginning of a journey that would not only transform Elizabeth's life, but also place her at the center of discussions about extraterrestrial life and interplanetary contact. Convinced that something much greater was at play, Elizabeth began meticulously documenting her experiences, unaware that the next encounter would be even more impactful. In April 1956, 2 years after her first contact, Elizabeth Klarer began feeling an inexplicable pull toward the same hilltop where she had seen the craft before. The sensation was almost magnetic, as if something or someone was calling her back. On April 7th, guided by her intuition, Elizabeth climbed the hill alone. When she arrived, the same disc-shaped craft descended once again, hovering just meters above the ground. This time, however, something different happened. A humanoid being emerged from the craft. He appeared as a tall man with fair skin, bright eyes, and short blonde hair. His presence radiated a profound calm that immediately dispelled any fear Elizabeth might have felt. The humanoid introduced himself as Akon, a botanist and astrophysicist from a planet called Meton, located in the Alpha Centauri star system. He explained that his ancestors had been observing Earth for thousands of years. Akon stated that Elizabeth was his reincarnated soulmate, a connection that transcended time and space. He explained that his mission on Earth included revealing the existence of his civilization and the potential for harmony between humans and extraterrestrial beings. Akon extended his hand to Elizabeth, inviting her to enter the craft. Despite initial hesitation, she felt an unwavering trust and accepted the invitation. Inside the craft, Elizabeth was fascinated by the advanced technology and the serenity of the environment. During the encounter, Akon described Meton as a peaceful planet where civilization lived in perfect harmony with nature. He emphasized that his species had abandoned war and violence millennia ago, opting for a life centered on science and spirituality. Akon also revealed that his people frequently visited Earth, monitoring human progress and subtly assisting to prevent self-destruction. He expressed sadness over humanity's aggression and reluctance to embrace peaceful coexistence. The encounter lasted several hours, during which Akon answered numerous questions about his world, his travels, and his vision of the universe. When the time came to leave, he promised to return and continue their dialogue. Elizabeth left the hill deeply transformed. She felt chosen for a greater mission, to share her experience with the world and promote the idea that humans were not alone in the universe. The connection with Akon not only challenged Elizabeth's beliefs, but also placed her at the heart of debates about the possibility of interplanetary contact. Despite knowing she would face skepticism, she decided to document and share her experience. This encounter would mark the beginning of a series of events that would lead Elizabeth to explore not only the mysteries of the universe, but also the challenges of being a bridge between two civilizations. In 1958, 2 years after her encounter with Akon, Elizabeth Klarer began experiencing an intensified telepathic connection with him. These communications prepared her for an extraordinary event, her journey to the planet Meton. On a sunny day, Elizabeth was drawn once again to the hilltop where everything had begun. Akon's craft landed once more, and this time he invited her aboard for a journey that would change her life forever. Inside the craft, Elizabeth described an indescribable sensation. She felt enveloped by a comforting energy as the craft smoothly ascended and left Earth's atmosphere. She observed the planet from afar, a blue dot floating in the void. After what seemed like only moments, Elizabeth arrived on Meton, a planet orbiting the star Proxima Centauri, 4.2 light-years from Earth. Akon explained that time and space were experienced differently in their civilization, allowing for rapid interstellar travel. Meton was breathtakingly beautiful. Elizabeth described the planet as a paradise with vast oceans, crystal-clear rivers, and small islands covered with lush vegetation. The atmosphere was light, and the temperature always mild, thanks to advanced climate control. The civilization of Meton lived in perfect harmony with nature. There were no wars, conflicts, or political systems. Resources were shared freely, and everything was produced for the collective good. Akon explained that his society had transcended the need for money or property. During her stay, Elizabeth was introduced to other inhabitants of Meton, who welcomed her with kindness and curiosity. They treated her as an equal, admiring her courage and resilience as a member of an evolving species. Akon revealed that Elizabeth was destined to become the mother of a hybrid child, a symbol of unity between their species. Shortly after, she conceived Aylin, her child, in what she described as an act of spiritual and physical love. In the following months, Elizabeth received advanced care to ensure her and the baby's health. The planet's energy and natural foods provided everything she needed to sustain her pregnancy. Finally, Elizabeth gave birth to Aylin, a boy who exhibited traits of both species, the advanced intelligence and emotional sensitivity of the Metonians, combined with the curiosity and adventurous spirit of humans. Akon explained that Aylin would remain on Meton, as his hybrid body was better suited to the planet's conditions. Despite her deep love for her son, Elizabeth understood that her mission was to return to Earth and share her experience. When the time came to leave, Elizabeth said farewell to Akon and Aylin, with a promise that they would remain connected. She returned to Earth with the conviction that her journey to Meton had been more than a personal experience. It was a message of hope for humanity. After her experience on Meton, Elizabeth Klarer returned to Earth with a clear purpose: to share her story and reveal the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations living in harmony and peace. However, she soon faced the challenge of being heard in a world rife with skepticism. Elizabeth publicly disclosed that she had given birth to a hybrid child named Aylin, who remained on Meton under Akon's care. She claimed that her son symbolized the possibility of unity between species, something that challenged deep-seated human prejudices. Her revelations quickly attracted global attention. Some saw her stories as fascinating revelations, while others, especially scientists and skeptics, ridiculed them, accusing her of fabrication or delusion. Simultaneously, Elizabeth faced persecution from government agencies, which monitored her for information about her hybrid child and her connection with the Metonians. She reported escaping attempted abductions on more than one occasion. Despite the difficulties, Elizabeth persisted. She attended ufology conferences and delivered lectures internationally, sharing her experience in vivid detail. In 1975, she received a standing ovation at the 11th International UFO Research Congress in Germany. In her lectures, Elizabeth painted a vivid picture of Meton's society, emphasizing its technological advancements, spiritual connections, and peaceful way of life. She urged humanity to abandon conflict and adopt sustainable practices to prevent self-destruction. Her accounts inspired both UFO enthusiasts and researchers. Elizabeth wrote 2 detailed books about her journey, including Beyond the Light Barrier, where she described her experiences on Meton and her relationship with Akon. Toward the end of her life, Elizabeth continued to celebrate April 7th, the date of her first encounter with Akon, as a personal holiday. When mobility became difficult, friends from the South African Air Force transported her by helicopter to the hilltop where it all began. Elizabeth Klarer passed away on February 9, 1994, from breast cancer. Before her death, she confided that her son Aylin had become an astrophysicist on Meton, married a humanoid named Klarer, and was exploring the universe alongside Akon. Despite the controversies surrounding her story, Elizabeth remains a central figure in ufology. Her detailed and emotionally charged accounts continue to inspire debates about the existence of life on other planets and the possibility of peaceful coexistence between species.